everyone. I am Completely Full Bookshelf. I am a book blogger, and what I'm doing today is I am demonstrating how to set up your blog to where you'll be able to have your posts send out automatically via email using Mailchimp. And the reason that I am demonstrating how this works is because you probably know that the service for email subscriptions that a lot of bloggers use, FeedBurner, is unfortunately discontinuing its email subscription features. And so a lot of bloggers are being forced kind of suddenly to change services, and there's a lot of services, and there's been very little guidance from Google about how to migrate your subscribers over and how to figure out these other services. And so that's what I'm going to be explaining today. Sorry about that. Okay. So there's going to be a couple steps that we have to do, and basically what I want to explain is this. Every blog on Blogger has a special link that is what's known as an RSS feed. Technically, this isn't exactly an RSS feed. I think it's something similar called an Atom feed, but the principle is the same. Basically, it's a special link where all of the posts on your blog are listed in a special format that services, third-party services, can actually access. And so that's actually what FeedBurner has been doing this whole time when it sends out your posts via email, is it's checking that RSS feed link for your blog, and it's pulling your posts from that link so that then it can send them out itself. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be setting up Mailchimp, which is a free, well, it's not free always, but for a lot of subscribers and a lot of emails, it is free. And it's a email marketing service that is designed for small businesses, but it's something that you can use for your blog as well. And it has the capacity to check your RSS feed or Atom feed or whatever you want to call it, and automatically send your posts out. So let's go ahead and get started. I have a couple pages open here. I've created a test blog on Blogger, and you can see I've posted one post that says, hooray, it's a test post that I made on Blogger. I've also pulled up my FeedBurner dashboard, and I've pulled up the website for Mailchimp. So let's go ahead and get started. The first thing that we're going to want to do is we're going to want to export our subscribers from FeedBurner. That way, people don't have to move themselves over when we discontinue the FeedBurner email sending and start using Mailchimp. We'll already have everyone's addresses in Mailchimp, and Mailchimp will already be sending them the emails of your posts. So if you want to follow along, what you need to do is you need to open a web browser, and you need to go to feedburner.google.com. And you're going to log in with the Google account that you use for your blog, and most likely you're going to see, well, not most likely, you'll see a dashboard that looks like this. It's going to look pretty archaic. There's a reason that they are trying to update FeedBurner and unfortunately are removing the email subscription feature in the process. This is going to look pretty ancient. And you're going to see under this banner about maintenance mode, you're going to see several feed titles. In this case, because I've created my blog recently, there's only one, but I believe you'll actually have two if your blog on Blogger is at all old. It should have created two automatically. One of them will have email subscriptions enabled, the other will not. And of course, you have to click on them to actually see which one does. So it should be, try the first one first, click on the name, and at the top here, we have these tabs, Analyze, Optimize. We need to go to Publicize. So let's look. And then click on Email Subscriptions on the left-hand side. And if you see something at the bottom, there's kind of this green banner, and it says this service is active. If it says this service is inactive or deactivated, you need to go to the other feed, because that's the one that will have the email subscriptions enabled. So on this page, you're going to, again, we're in the feed, and then we've clicked on Publicize, and we've clicked on Email Subscriptions, and it's automatically put us in the sub-tab Subscription Management. We need to go to the bottom and click on this View Subscriber Details option right above the Save button. Click on it, and here's what you'll see. You'll see a list of all the emails that are subscribed. I already subscribed one email just for demonstration purposes. And then what you'll see is that the subscription is active, and there'll be these buttons to pause or to completely delete the subscription. What I would do before you go any further is if there's any subscriptions here that say in status unverified, I would delete those using the X button and then confirm. And the reason is that you don't want to import subscribers who haven't actually confirmed their subscription and then have Mailchimp start sending emails to them, because that is actually going to be considered spam email. And there are actually federal regulations about spam email that we will have to talk about for a minute when we get into this later. So you don't want to be importing people into Mailchimp and having Mailchimp send them emails without their consent if they never actually consented through the FeedBurner system in the first place. Okay, so once you've deleted all of those unverified subscriptions and all the ones you have are active, you're going to export as a CSV file. So you can see export CSV, click on the word CSV, bam, it has downloaded a CSV file of all of the subscribers. Now, what you will want to do, you don't want to do this right now, but you can come back here at some point once you've announced to your subscribers, preferably through your existing FeedBurner system, that you're migrating your subscribers over. You will want to deactivate this system, and so you'll just click on deactivate and it will tell you that it's inactive, and then it will stop sending out emails through FeedBurner. You don't want to completely delete the feed in FeedBurner just in case you need to enable it again, or if other people are using that feed. I don't want to get into the details, but there's ways in which people can be subscribed to your FeedBurner feed in ways besides email, and you don't want to necessarily lose those subscribers. So just make sure to deactivate email subscriptions when you're done so your subscribers aren't receiving two sets of emails. Okay, so what I'd like to do here now is we need to get the RSS feed link, and we can actually get this right out of FeedBurner. So what we can do is we can scroll up to the top, we can see our name, and then under that we see a button labeled Edit Feed Details. Click on that. Okay, so we see this blank in the middle that says original feed. So what does this say here? It has our blog's actual URL, /feeds/posts/default. We want to copy and paste this, but what we actually want to do, and this is just one of my own personal suggestions, is we want to add something to the end here. We want to add, as you can see in this example, right after default, max-results equals 6, not 3. We want to do 6. And the reason that I'm telling you to do that is that, at least with FeedBurner, sometimes this can get really weird in terms of if your feed gets too long and contains too many posts, it will take up too much space, storage space, and so then FeedBurner won't read it. And I don't know if Mailchimp has that problem or not, but we can alleviate that by shortening the feed by tacking on this max-results equals 6 to the end of the original feed URL. And that way, then we can make sure that the feed is only ever 6 posts long. And that won't actually matter because it'll always put the newest post on there first and just take off the oldest one. And so all of your posts will still send out, but it's just going to make sure that you don't have a bunch of old posts that don't actually need to be in the feed anyway, taking up space and then making the feed not work. So I've added that in here. I'm going to copy and paste this whole URL, Command C, or Control C if you're on Windows. I am going to click cancel and do not make these changes here. You don't want to save any of this, but you do want that copied link. Cancel. Okay, now we're done in FeedBurner. Okay, now what we're going to do, we've exported our FeedBurner subscribers, so now we're going to get set up with Mailchimp. So we're going to go to the Mailchimp homepage, it's mailchimp.com, and we're going to click on Sign Up Free in the top right. And we're going to put our information in. So first of all, I need to put in my email. I made up a fake email that I'm going to get rid of at the end of this video, so please don't try contacting it. It will not work. You'll put in your email. You can just put it in again as your username. This should be relatively intuitive. We're going to make a password. I would check this box so that you don't get a bunch of emails from Mailchimp. Then click Sign Up. Okay, now we need to activate our account. So I'm going to go over to my Gmail and activate my account. Okay, so I've just clicked on the activate link inside that email, and now we can see the Mailchimp page. So I'm going to click on I'm not a robot, and it did not prompt me for a CAPTCHA or anything. Make sure that you have it set to the free plan. You can have up to 2,000 contacts and up to 10,000 email sends per month. So what that means is an email send is an email per subscriber. So if you have 10 subscribers and you send 5 emails a month, that's 50 email sends. I suspect most people on Blogger are not going to have either 2,000 contacts or 10,000 email sends. I certainly don't. So I think the free plan should work for your needs. So click on Next. You will not need to put in any kind of credit card or anything. You need to put in a name. I'm just going to call myself test blog because that's what I'm doing here. Business name, test blog, website URL. I made it this mess. I'm going to paste that in. There's this option to import my brand. I checked this when I did it, but it didn't actually do anything. So you can just check it or not check it. It doesn't really matter. I suspect it probably means something, but it doesn't do anything, at least with a blogger website. A phone number is optional. Okay, I'm going to leave phone number out, and we're going to continue. Okay, so now we can enter in our address. It's important to note that Mailchimp is going to require you to put in a mailing address because there are federal and international laws like the CAN-SPAM Act here in the United States that require you to have a physical mailing address on any kind of emails so that way, if, for instance, people can't get unsubscribed or you keep resubscribing people, they can reach out to you via mail. And you didn't have to do that on FeedBurner because FeedBurner would actually display Google's mailing address. Remember that Google owns FeedBurner, but in this case, with Mailchimp, you have to put in your own address. So I am going to put in a fake address just for the purposes of this video. This is not a real address. Do not send anything to it. It's not going to work. So I'm going to enter that in there. Okay, fake address, and I'm going to click continue. Great. So now it's about contacts. Do I have a list of contacts? We exported one from FeedBurner, so I'm going to say yes. How many do I have? 500 or less in this case. I suspect most of y'all will have that few. No offense, Blogger generally doesn't tend to be exactly booming with subscribers, but who knows, perhaps you have a lot. This will have them determine some features for you. It shouldn't really matter for the purposes of what we're doing. In this case, I'm just going to say original content because we have a blog. Where can people access your offerings? We'll just say our own website. I do not want any of these newsletters from Mailchimp. I don't need them. Okay, so now we are ready to go. So this is the Mailchimp dashboard. You'll see there's some icons on the left side: create, audience, campaigns, automations, website, content studio, integrations, and search. There's also this button down here. You can click on it, and then you can click on log out if you're ready to sign out of your account. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is import our subscribers. So let's go to, where is it? Audience. It's this little person-looking icon. Audience. It's already going to create an audience called our business name. In this case, it's test blog. So what we're going to do is we're going to scroll down. It says here, there's this button that says import your contacts. Click on it. We want to have upload file, upload a CSV file, continue to upload, browse. I'm going to select the file now. Okay, I've just selected the file. The file name is now listed here. We're going to click continue to organize. Select a status. You want to choose subscribed, and it says right here that you have to make sure that you had permission to market to these subscribers. Since they've already subscribed through FeedBurner, they've given us their permission. If any imported contacts are already in your audience, we will automatically replace their information with the data from your import. This shouldn't matter because you won't have any members of your audience yet, but I'm just going to click on it because I think it's going to duplicate me, so I might as well. You can just leave it checked or unchecked. It doesn't matter for y'all, I would assume. Okay, we're going to click here. You can create tags. I might add a tag here, subscribers from FeedBurner, just to keep them separate. Click on this create subscribers from FeedBurner option. Now it's made a little gray tag. Click continue to match. Okay. So this is important to look at. You'll see here one column will be imported, two columns will not be imported. So the column with the email address, which is what we really need, that will be imported. These ones about when they were subscribed and their status, that's not going to be imported. And that is important. That's why we had to delete those unverified subscribers originally, because Mailchimp isn't going to read this column and it's just going to assume that everyone that we import is active, is a subscriber and not some kind of unverified subscriber. So we have to make sure that all of these email addresses can be added. But it's fine if we lose this information. I would keep track of that CSV file in case you ever need that legally, just to have proof that these people did subscribe at this date and time. But other than that, it should be fine. So you can just click on Finalize Import. It's going to say that we're adding one contact. That's the only one I had in that file. We're going to set them as subscribed. We've tagged them as subscribers from FeedBurner. Okay, we're going to click on Complete Import. Great, your import was successful. Okay, so I just clicked on the Mailchimp logo at the top left right here and went back to my dashboard. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Campaigns. And I'm going to click on Create a Campaign in the top right. Oh, so we're just going to click on Email first of all. Then we're going to click on Automated. Then we're going to click on Share Blog Updates. Campaign name. Don't name this I wouldn't name this Share Blog Updates. I would name this the name of your blog, although it shouldn't actually matter because I don't think the audience can actually see this. But still, I'm just going to call it Test Blog. Right here, we want to pick our audience. We want it to be the test blog or whatever you named it. It should just be the name of your blog. But right now, you should only have one audience, so whatever this defaulted to should be fine. And an audience, again, is just a subscriber list in Mailchimp. So then we click on Begin. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to paste that feed URL into this box. It's that one that we copy and pasted earlier. And we're going to make sure to include that little question mark piece just to make sure that this feed doesn't end up being too big and then that we have some kind of chaotic mess going on. Okay, so we pasted it in here. Next we have every day set at 4 a.m. New York time. I think it's New York because that was the state that I put in. You can just pick this time. I'm going to set it to just be 5 p.m. in the afternoon. That seems reasonable. And I would set it to every day just so that you can always have your posts sending out. And as you can see here, it'll only send if there's new posts on your blog. You do want to send on every single day of the week. Don't click on this. This does not matter. This, or at least for most people, resize RSS feed images to fit template. I don't believe that most people's feed images are going to be too big. And what I don't want that to do is then to widen out things like book covers and then have them be so wide that then they look really weird. So I'm just going to leave that off. It is possible that if you have really, 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 really big images in your posts, like size-wise, that they may be too big in the email, but it should be fine for most people. Okay, so now we're going to click Next. Okay, we have our audience, test blog as I named it, 1 subscriber. We want to use the entire audience. We don't want to just use a segment or tag. We don't want to just use a group or segment. We just want to use the whole audience because we set it up to where that entire audience is going to be for our site. Next, campaign info. This is important. So there's some interesting stuff in here that we should include. So we have our campaign name. And we can name this, again, the name of our blog. If you want to put your real name and the name of your blog, you can put that, but that's just worth having in there. And as you can see, also, it does say internal use only, so nobody's actually going to be able to see that. I just noticed that. This is important, email subject. So this is, of course, the subject line for your email. This default subject is fine. What this is going to do is it's going to say posts from. This little code here tells it to put the name of your RSS feed, not your post. That'll actually most likely be the name of your blog, and then and then a certain date. But it might be easier or actually preferable if we set it up a different way. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to change it. Give me one moment. Okay, so I just changed the email subject to new post, and then this code, which you can see here. It's the asterisk, the vertical line, RSS item, title, vertical line, asterisk. So what is that going to do? Well, that code is code in Mailchimp to pull the title of your RSS item, which is a post. So what this is actually going to do is it'll say new post and then the title of your post, which is really cool. So unlike on FeedBurner, where at least by default it wouldn't include your post titles, you could actually set it up to do that, but it was really complicated. Here we can have it to where it's going to do new post and then put the title of the post every time. We can put preview text. That is probably a good idea so you don't just have random text in the preview. You can just say something that describes your blog, like this is a new post from this site which reviews great books. You can just put whatever you want here, but basically what this will do is just so that when it's in people's emails, instead of just pulling up a bunch of random text from the post, it'll put a nice little preview so that then it can see what that email is more easily. The from name, you want to change this to be, again, this is really important because this is what your audience will see as the from name. So you want to put this as, for instance, the name of your blog, your name and the name of your blog. You could say like, I'm just going to use these names here, bobsmith@testblog, something like that. Just something that's going to be instantly recognizable, like they say here, so that people will know, oh, that's that person's blog. Okay, then we've got this from email. It's actually going to do something kind of weird, Mailchimp is, where basically it's going to just sort of spoof your Gmail address. And so even though it's sending from Mailchimp, since I put this Gmail address in here, it'll look like the emails are coming from this to our audience. If they click on it, that'll be the from address. I don't know if that's always going to work for certain kinds of emails. I think like AOL and Yahoo, that may not work. So in that case, if you paste that in here, it'll create a new email that's a Mailchimp address, and it should say that like right underneath. If it doesn't say that, it'll just send from this address, and you can tell your audience to add this one to your address book and stuff like that. If it says something down here, you want to use that one that's listed down there. And this one should not show up as their from address. We had some options up here. Inbox, we don't want to do this. That would be sent if people reply to the address, which hopefully they won't do at all particularly, but that would send it to the inbox inside of Mailchimp. We don't want that. We don't want to personalize the to field because we don't actually have people's names when we export it from FeedBurner. We're not actually keeping track of our audience's names, and so that would be kind of awkward. You can try to set this up if you want to get people's names now and then personalize the to field, but I don't really think that's terribly necessary. You've got some options here. Mailchimp has the capacity to track the number of people that open your email or click on links. I'm going to turn these off because I don't want these, but you can enable them if that's something you want. The rest of this I would just leave off. None of this is going to be terribly important unless you really want to keep track of how many people are using your emails. And you'll already be able to see your number of subscribers anyway. Social media, we don't want to automatically tweet or post to Facebook. Okay, this looks like a useful thing to turn on if you embed videos. It looks like this should convert embedded videos so that they show up better in your email. I don't recall this being there when I set this up, but they might have added this, so I would enable that especially if you post embedded videos in your posts. Now we're going to go to the next step. Okay, so now it's time to design the email. This is kind of difficult, but we will survive. This is probably going to take the longest. So I would just go to basic and do one column. That's the simplest design. You can look at these if you want to use them. You could do this full width one. There's a lot of options here. But we're going to probably customize it a lot. So I'm just going to do the basic one column. That's what I used on my actual blog anyway. Okay. So this is the editor, and it's worth noting this is technically known as the classic editor. Mailchimp is working on a redesigned beta editor, I think, for these designs, but I don't think that that works for RSS campaigns like this one, so they're just going to send you to the classic editor. Okay, so you can see here it says it's time to design your email, blah, blah, blah. You don't want to actually leave this text because that'll actually send out in the post, so that would be really awkward. So what we're going to do is we see these three tabs up here. Blocks, style, comments. We shouldn't need comments at this time, but we will use blocks and style. So first of all, in style, you can change settings for things like the font and color of the page, this background over here, the header, the pre-header, the body, the footer, all of that stuff. That's going to be important if you want to customize the design of this email. Keep in mind, this is a really cool opportunity because Mailchimp has a lot more settings for designing your email campaigns than FeedBurner had. And so you can make this look like your blog. If you're redesigning your blog, you can make this look really stylish and fun and have like a nice design that people can see in their inbox and that's sort of instantly recognizable as your email, as opposed to with FeedBurner where all of them kind of looked exactly the same. So make sure to take advantage of these neat features. I do want to mention that you can, when we set things up with blocks, you can choose fonts inside of the blocks, but sometimes they won't look right if we didn't set up fonts in the actual settings over here themselves. So like we may put the RSS item code for the actual post, and then we may set it to be a font like Trebuchet, but if the body was still set to Arial, it's going to show up in Arial. So you want to make sure to change these so that these aren't conflicting with the things you set up in the blocks, because then it'll default to these on the style tab over here, and then it'll look weird. So we can change some of the stuff if we want. I'm going to just set some fun colors. We can make this a light green. I don't know if this isn't going to look terribly good, but it's a demonstration, so it's fine. I'm going to change the fonts. You'll notice here there's standard web fonts and then custom web fonts. I believe any of these should work, but if you want to be super safe, you can just stick with the standard web fonts so that you don't have fonts that don't show up correctly in people's emails. But I believe that these custom web fonts should work too. So if you see something that's really pretty here, I think for most people, even using even remotely modern email clients, the custom ones should work as well. But I'm going to stick with these standard ones. I'm going to set this to Trebuchet. You can change a lot of settings in here. I'm going to set these other headers to Trebuchet. These shouldn't matter. These are different headings in the page itself. Oh, these may actually matter. Let's set these. Will these do anything? That would be interesting to know. It doesn't look like they changed anything besides that. It's time to design your email. We can hit save. And again, I'm not going to do this the whole email. You can try fiddle around with these settings yourself. But there's a lot of options here. Okay. So now we can customize. So let's go to blocks. There's a lot of blocks here. We can drag blocks into the various locations. So I'm going to get rid of this block because it's irrelevant. I'm going to get rid of it, click on delete. It's gone. This logo block, we can just add a picture up here or a title or whatever we want to add. If you want to add a logo, you can. There's a lot of options again. I'm going to get rid of this. I would leave this view email in your browser thing up here. I think that's part of the pre-header, so if you change the pre-header font, that should change how that appears. You could add an image, and text. You can actually add an image to the header and then put text on top of it. I don't quite remember how I did that, but I know that I somehow managed to do it on my own emails. For now, I think we're just going to do text. So we'll put text up here. You can see that once you've dropped in a block, its editor appears in the right column, and they have new columns called content style settings. I'm going to skip these for now, but you can just click save and close, and then it'll take you back to these block style comments options. And if you want to get back, just hover over it and then click on the pencil, and it'll bring you right back to the actual settings for the block. So I'm going to customize this test blog. We'll just make this the name. We can make this a link. We can highlight it, click on link. And then I'm going to copy and paste my blog's web address. I'm going to paste it in here, insert, and now I've made it a link. You can increase the font size, various things. Okay, cool. Save and close. I'm not going to demonstrate all of this because, again, you can fiddle around with these settings yourself, but I do want to demonstrate some really important things now. So there's some important headers that you can, or blocks, that you can include. RSS header and RSS items. So RSS header, you paste that in here, and it's going to include some text, RSS feed title and RSS feed description. So these are codes. I think these are called merge tags. And what these do is they automatically pull data from your site. So we can actually look at this. If we go up here to preview and test, we can click on it and click on enter preview mode, and we can see how that would look. So you can see that what happens is for that first blank, it's going to take out For that first blank, it's going to automatically pull the name of the feed. So that RSS feed title option, it's going to pull test blog because that's the name of the feed. And so you can see that's kind of repetitive, so we can delete that tag out of that text and then it won't show that. And then there was that RSS feed description thing. We don't actually have a description set for our feed, so it's just blank. I'm going to close out of preview mode. Okay. So personally, I find this RSS header widget to be pretty useless. I'm just showing it to you because you might see it and be wondering what is it. So we can save and close, and then we can just delete it. So I'm going to click on the trash can, and then I'm going to click on delete, and it's gone. What's really important is RSS items. You want this. So put this in here, and here's what we see. Okay, so here's what we can do. Okay, so we've just added that widget in here, and that block, and you can see here RSS item style. This is important. So again, if we would get to this, if it disappears, click on the pencil, and then we're in content. Just a quick tip that I wanted to mention is that in the next part of the video, I'm going to demonstrate how to set the style of this RSS items block to be what you want it to be. And there's that drop-down, the style drop-down, and I'm going to demonstrate what happens when we set it to custom and actually change what appears in this block. But if you're less tech savvy and feel nervous about possibly screwing it up or removing an important tag, you can just set this to full content, and although you won't be able to customize it, it should still have all of the information that you might want to include. And I do also want to mention that full content and then also what I'll be showing you for custom will include your entire blog post in the email. I'm not super familiar with what you'll do if you generally only include the beginning of your blog post in your email. But either way, if you're including the full post, either full content or custom should work for you, but I'm going to be demonstrating the custom option next. Thank you. So what I needed to show you is that I have already been fiddling around with this. I've added this block in here, this RSS item block, and we have the style. And you could have set this to excerpts, titles only, full content, or custom. We need this to be on custom so that we can actually edit what this says. Okay, so it's taken the stuff from RSS, from the full content setting, and it's set it to custom. So we have RSS, and this is the box right here on the right-hand side where you actually edit what this all says. RSS items, you have to keep that because that tells it we're starting an item. This is the post title. Again, you could change the font with these settings up here. You could highlight it, change the font, or if you've set the header levels in the actual style for the whole email, that will work as well. And you will need to do that for things like the content full, where changing the font here doesn't do anything. So we can customize this if we don't want the author, if we just want the date, we can just backspace all of this. If we don't want the date in italics, we can highlight it, we can click italics, we can make it regular. We can add a line if you want so that it's a little bit easier to see where the post starts. We can add a line before the read in browser part. If you look at read in browser, this is important. If we click on the link, you'll see that the link here is RSS item URL. So this will put the individual link of the actual post. It's not going to put the just regular, it's not going to put the link to the same place every time. It'll link to the new address each time. You can have this RSS item Twitter thing. We can get rid of this because I'd rather we not have that for right now. And then recent articles, or you can call this other recent posts, something like that. This is just text that shows up. This RSS recent piece will show the links to the last 5 articles on your blog. I think that's a cool feature, so we'll leave that in. So then we can save and close, and then we can preview this, enter preview mode. And it looks like this. And you'll notice that what it's actually done is it has pulled all of that content that we had. So I put up a test post on my blog. This is the blog website. And you'll see it says test post, April 25th. Hooray, it's a test post that I made on Blogger. It's pulling all of that and putting it in the right places where I had those tags. And then you'll see here recent articles. Nothing shows up because I don't have any other posts on the blog. But if you have a bunch of posts, they'll show up here, a couple of them, up to 5. Will show up there, and people can click on them if they want to read other recent posts that you have put up. So we're going to return to we're going to click the X and return to the editor. So this is pretty good. This is looking great. The one thing we do want to change is the footer. We should edit the footer a little bit. Hover over it to where it's sort of highlighting this. Actually, so first of all, you've got this piece here. No, I'm so sorry. Hover over this lower box and click on the pencil. Okay, and you've got all of this. So we can take, this is a copyright statement, you can add this in, this little thing shows the current year, and then this company, or you could just type your company name. This piece, if not archive page, list description, I don't know what that does, but you can leave it. Our mailing address, again, that'll include your mailing address so that you're in compliance with the CAN-SPAM Act. If for some reason you can remove that, you can just highlight all of that stuff with this piece and this end if, and you can backspace that. You can take this piece out if you want. I'm just going to, you can leave it. You absolutely want to leave this piece here. Want to change how you receive these emails. You can update your preferences or unsubscribe from this list. You have to leave all of that so that people can control their subscription preferences. And then this piece here, if rewards, HTML rewards, and if you need to leave that, what that's going to do is it's going to put a little bitty banner about this wide that says grow your business with Mailchimp. And I think that is a requirement of the free plan. If you take this out, it's just going to put the whole footer right back. So just leave that in there and it'll just leave that banner. And we can also add more text in here if we want to say, you are receiving this email because you subscribe to receive email updates from Test Blog. Cool. You can say something like that just so that people know what's going on down here. Save and close. Again, we can preview, go up to preview and test, click enter preview mode. And we can see how it looks. View this email in your browser. We've got the blog name, the post name, the date, the post content, a link to read in browser. In theory, we would have recent posts down here, the footer, and this is how that little banner will look. Nice. Now we can click on the X, return to the editor, and I think we can call this done. So we're going to click on next down here. You're all set to send. You have not sent yet. You're ready to. RSS feed, the campaign will be sent using this URL. It will deliver to the test blog audience, or whatever audience you named it, of course. This is the subject line. This is the preview text. This is the reply address. That should be fine. We don't have tracking on. It's an HTML email using this template. It's going to include a plain text version just in case. That is fine. And it includes the Mailchimp affiliate link in your template footer. Okay, so now what we need to do is we need to click on this, not this arrow, but just this Start RSS button. And it says Confirm RSS Start. Are you sure you want to continue? Click Start Campaign. And it says rock on, your first RSS email will be sent tomorrow at 5 p.m. Awesome. So now you have started this, and that means everyone is going to be getting your emails from your site automatically that you already have to the people who already are in your audience. So are you done? Not quite, unfortunately. There's one more step that we've got to do. We've already set this up, but we have to make sure that people can subscribe. Remember, your existing subscription widget on your blog that uses FeedBurner doesn't work with Mailchimp. So we need to make a new one. So now I'm going to demonstrate that. So let's do this. So we can go to Audience on the left-hand side, click on Sign Up Forms. Okay, you'll see some options here. We're going to use two of these. We're going to use Form Builder, but first we're going to go to Embedded Forms. So go to Embedded Forms, click Select. And what we want to do is we want to make a subscription form. And it's going to automatically make this for the audience that we have. We want to use unstyled, and the reason we want to use unstyled is that it's going to then adapt it to where it looks correct on our site. So it'll use the font we're already using on our sidebar. It's not going to do some kind of weird embedded looking thing. It'll kind of look a little bit like our website looks. So click on unstyled. It says raw HTML, there's no CSS or JavaScript to style it. Okay. You can include a form title, but since you can do this when you're actually creating the gadget in Blogger, which I'll show you in a minute, we'll just uncheck that. You can change this from show all fields to show only required fields, and that should default it to just the email address, which is usually what you'll want. You can leave these options. We can take off show required field indicators because since there's only one field, it's pretty obvious that that's the field that's required. Scroll down, we can leave the form width optional and it'll just take on the width of the area where it's placed. You could include an archive or referral link, but we don't need to. And so now you see this thing down here that says copy and paste onto your site. Click here, it highlights it all, do Command-C on Mac or Control-C on Windows. Bam. Now we have created our sign up gadget. So now we need to go to Blogger. So I'm going to go back over to Blogger. I'm just going to pull up Blogger, go to Layout, go to my sidebar. In this case, you can see we have the sidebar, and I'm going to, in this sidebar bottom section, you could do it in the top, it doesn't matter, and most blogs won't have this split up. It's just these newer Blogger templates have it split into two. You can click on Add a Gadget, and then click on HTML/JavaScript. In the title, type in subscribe by email or whatever you want to name it, and then in the content, do Command-V or Control-V, or just paste, and you've got all that code in there. And then click Save. Page element added, you can see, if you want to be safe, you can click Save, but I don't think you have to. I'm going to go to the blog, refresh it, and we can see that now we have a subscribe by email gadget. It says email address, there's a blank, and there's a subscribe button, and it's matched the fonts and everything to how the blog actually looks. Amazing. We're almost done, I swear. This is such a long process, but we are almost done. The last thing that we need to do is we need to go back to Mailchimp, and we need to edit a little bit on the, if you want to, on the, some of the screens that people will see when they subscribe by email. So we need to click on Sign Up Forms again. We're in Audience, and then Sign Up Forms. Instead of Embedded Forms, we're going to pick Form Builder, select, And then in the form builder, we can edit these screens down here. So this is a sign up form. You won't actually use this. People will just sign up with that gadget on your side, so it doesn't matter. But the ones that we should pay attention to are the confirmation thank you page. We can go down here, we can click edit. Again, this is code to include your mailing address. You can include this to stay in compliance with the CAN Spam Act. You can remove it by backspacing. I would mention, by default, Mailchimp is going to set up your email subscriptions to not require like email verification where you would click on a link in your email. So I'm just going to say that in here so that people know that. Great. And then I'm going to hit save and close, and it's done. And it says that it's saved, and you don't need to do anything. Now that it's saved, this is how this will look. And you can customize this. You can do edit. You can use an image. You can go to design it and change the background colors and things like that. You can change what it says up here. There's a lot of options. And there's other screens as well, like the unsubscribe form. That, again, people won't generally use because they'll just typically click on things from their email. But the unsubscribe success page, the things like that. And you'll see here that this is how this looks. And there's going to be a survey, which you can't get rid of when people unsubscribe. That just has to be there. It's not optional on the free plan, at least. You could set it up if you wanted to. Instead of showing this unsubscribe successful page, send subscribers to another URL, you could type something in here and click save, and then it would send people to that specific page. So like if you want to make a page on your own website to where it's not sending people off of your website, you can do that as well. But that's a little complicated, so if you want to just do this, you can as well. The only other thing that I would mention is that this profile update email sent screen, again, this is going to include that mailing address. You can't edit this page on the free plan, so this is just how that's going to look. So that is worth noting. And that is pretty much it. I do want to show you how this actually looks. I'm going to just subscribe with my completely full bookshelf email address. So I'm on the blog address, I'm typing it in, I click on subscribe. Actually, before I do this, I should log out of Mailchimp. One moment. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. Click on subscribe. And you've been taken to Mailchimp, and it shows that screen. Your subscription to our list has been confirmed. You do not need to click on a link in your email to subscribe. You're all set. Thank you for subscribing. This is how we coded it to look. And you can close this page, and you're subscribed. I do want to mention quickly, and you can see that I'm actually demonstrating this on my regular blog, Completely Full Bookshelf, instead of my test blog, because I'm making this after the fact because I forgot to demonstrate it, and I had already deleted the test blog. So the thing that I wanted to mention, and this does not apply if you on Blogger are using one of the classic first-generation themes for your blog, which a lot of Blogger users are, but if your blog is newer, and you can tell if it is because if you click this drop down, there will be an option that says switch to first-generation classic theme. That'll only show up if you're not using a first-generation classic theme. If you have one of the newer Blogger templates, you might have noticed that there's an option to include a FeedBurner subscription widget under the blog name or next to the blog name, and this is different from the usual FeedBurner email subscription gadget that most people include on their sidebar. So if you have one of these where it's under your name or next to your name for the blog name, then this advice applies to you. If you don't have that, please just ignore this because it's a little bit complicated and I wouldn't want you to get confused. But if you do have this one on one of the newer templates, Blogger has somehow managed to screw up the settings to where you can't take it off your blog, which doesn't even make sense, but they've done it to where it's not something you can delete. Like the normal FeedBurner gadget on your sidebar, you just click the pencil icon and you just delete it when you're in the layout options over here. But if it's over here, you'll notice that you don't have the capacity to remove it. I'm not going to pull up the settings because I don't want to mess with it myself. But you can't delete it in the options. There's no remove button. There's a show and hide toggle button at the top, but they've taken out the save button. So then you can't actually save that change, and so then you can't hide it. and I don't think this little eye is actually a button that you can toggle. So if you want to get rid of that gadget, you unfortunately need to go into the HTML code for your blog. What you do is you click this down arrow. Please click backup first and save a copy of this so then you can restore with this option if you screw this up. Otherwise, we're going to click Edit HTML. This button here with the little blocks, jump to widget, we're going to click on it, and then we click on follow by email 1. That should be the name of your follow by email gadget. And what you will have is visible, this little visible equals apostrophe true apostrophe. Change the word true to false, and then click this save icon, and then click back. And I didn't actually edit anything, but that should get rid of it, and it did for my blog. And again, if you have just a regular first generation classic theme, you can also tell that you do because it'll have the little nav bar at the top of your site that has the blogger logo and the search box and the account information and stuff like that. If you have one of those, you don't need to do this. You can just go into layout, you can click on the pencil next to the gadget wherever it is, and you can do remove. But if you have one of these ones over here, that option's not available, so you will need to use this little trick. At least that is the last time I checked. I'm not 100% sure if Blogger has fixed that, but again, I've already fixed it on my blog. I don't really want to mess with it, and this is what I had to do when I set it up on my blog. And that is everything. Oh my goodness, I am so sorry that is just such a totally long spiel. It's such a complicated process to set this up, and I'm so sorry that we all have to do this. But I hope that this was a useful tutorial in setting up Mailchimp to use on Blogger. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I really hope it was helpful. Y'all have a great rest of your day. Bye.